For the Australian-born painter Sir Sidney Nolan, the outback has been a continuing inspiration. On a visit there in 1948, he found these drought-stricken carcasses of horses and cattle. He repositioned them and photographed them. Sidney Nolan has also chronicled Australia's history in his famous series of paintings about the folk hero, the bandit Ned Kelly, and about the Burke and Wills expedition across the continent in the 1860s. When he arrived for his first day on the Paintbox, Nolan decided to combine these images from his past work with some new ones that he brought with him. His experiments needed the more complicated facilities of the Paintbox, so he was helped by one of its designers, Martin Holbrook, who acted as a kind of studio assistant to the artist. They started the first of 2 4-hour sessions working on a photograph of a helicopter.
Well, it's extremely good, isn't it? I mean, a pilot looking out and seeing that halo around his rotor.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
But substantially the same colours.
Oh, yes, all married completely, yeah. And again, it's gone into a desert kind of...
so I think we can actually be less specific about cutting it out.
Yeah, sure.
There, of course, is for the moment, is a kind of chaos, but it's hopefully a creative chaos. Well, we're starting now to kind of like a seamstress or something to cut the dress, you know, to see where the sleeve will fit or the stitching go on, and actually to make something.
Ready to try again. I think that'll be much nicer.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Okay, so we reverse that. Now we can see the sort of imagery we're going to get. Cut him out again. You should now have a giant helicopter.
Haha.
That's the boy. Now we could paint out the horse's head if we wanted. Just simply take the sky colour. Remove that
About there,
completely.
yeah.
This chip back in again. Of course, we can now use the joystick to change the size of the helicopter and its angle if you wanted it.
Yeah, we can swing her up a bit to the sky.
Well, there you see we've got a most unlikely juxtaposition, but which is looking less unlikely. I mean, after a moment, the eye starts to not think of that helicopter flying out over the sea, because it isn't anymore. It's in the process of being amalgamated with this thing out in the Australian desert.
Yeah, because it's got precisely the astonishment that you would feel if your mother
Turned into a helicopter.
because that set up a kind of an observer, which is not the artist or a human being or anything else, but is in fact...
Within the picture itself?
Yeah, within the picture itself. So
the astonishment actually comes from within the picture rather than you looking at it?
Yes, it's coming from that creature looking at us. And from then on you start to ad-lib, which is what happened with Kafka's Insect, wasn't it?
That's right.
Everybody didn't know what to say, you know, the thing was crawling around and they were saying, you know, there's Tommy and, you know, what are you going to do about it? I mean, you have to make peace with it. You have to start, you know, find out how you're going to live with it. The actual thing which is powering that body is that you still feel it's there, don't you?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
You see it,
because, again, you know, if we were painting on it, we can always now pick up any of these colours, and if one wanted to make sort of minute changes and remove that line or make a different angle there or whatever, you can. It's blend things together. It's quite extraordinary.
Yes, you see, what you've just done then by joining it up more with an egg is actually to make it even more...
Part of the...
Yes, part of the thing. See, it's now
Actually,
pretty
that works
well.
rather well. So we've now got this angle formed by the neck of the...
That's pretty well irrevocably part of that body, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
I mean, let's try see if we can get that kind of close-up somewhere there. Yeah, yeah. So we go for that, and then we can... it gets interesting, doesn't it?
Because it does somehow or other, it brings out the quality of the colouring here. It's really...
What happens if we get... If we get closer, I mean, if we magnify more.
Oh, well, I mean, I think it would get quite... Yeah, we could look at this.
We'll just see what we would
see what we've got
get
here.
from the point of view of just of an aesthetic... yeah, yes, in there. That's that, yeah.
So the foal is now looking no longer at its mother, infinitely changed, but looking at some intruder or something coming from outer space.
It's the one kind of organism, one living organism, and everything else is outer space.
It's mechanical and hard
kind of technology, all that.
I mean, it's amazing how sort of aggressive that feels, all the sort of arrangement here.
Well, it's all going to knock out, possibly, this animate creature, which is, in fact, a dead horse. You begin to see how you can play with a certain morality with the thing.
Oh, yes, absolutely, because you...
which I hadn't thought of before, that there might be a morality of shapes, you know, aggressive shapes
and passive shapes.
And passive shapes.
Which is exactly what we've got there.
Which is what we've got. From my point of view as a painter, that's very interesting to think that some shapes can have this moral... Because I suppose one's doing it anyway instinctively all the time, but to see it laid out like that is quite extraordinary. Yeah, that's a kind of tragic document of some kind. I mean, it makes you laugh, but it's tragic.
Well, here we have a thing which I invented, a kind of sculptor. I always wanted to be a sculptor, and I've invented a sculptor called Brizzoli, who's down there on the raft in Sydney Harbour. And the half of the Sydney Bridge actually comes from seeing the Mad Max film, Mad Max 3, and, where Sydney is shown after a nuclear
well, he's
attack.
A sculptor, and he's got to, you know, cope with what he's going to build in Sydney Harbour and half the Sydney Harbour Bridge, which all the cars would fall off.
Oh, do we want to find the original horse's head, the photographic one?
Yeah, maybe.
I think we do,
yeah,
don't we?
Yeah, I think
because
we do.
they're not actually in this lot.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I have to do a little bit of business.
Yeah.
And I have
think
to read
that's
that lot.
what we actually want to put on there is that horse's head.
So we've got different collection pictures here. That's the chap we're after, isn't it?
That's the one, yeah. That's it.
Okay, so I'm going to turn that into a stencil and ask to see the picture again. Just look for the picture. There it is. So if we now say, draw the stencil, there it is. So now we can decide. That's exactly it, in fact, isn't it?
That's it, yeah.
So what do we do, sort of sever the head?
I think just put that on...
Do you think?
Yeah, sure. Well, yes, some of the neck.
That's what I mean, yeah.
So
if I hit the airbrush then and ask to remove the... what I can do, look, is sort of
that's right,
cut away the...
That's it. That's the bit they left off the bridge.
That's the bit we're interested in.
Yeah.
So if we go back to paint. Extraordinary, because this red colour it's like masking film, but you can just etch it away. There we go. So if I reverse that, that's what we've got left.
Good. So that's what, yes.
Oops, beg your pardon.
Yeah, that's what we want on
what
the
we
end
want,
of that
really,
drawing.
isn't it?
Yeah. So let's see what...
Maybe I don't know that neck very much. I think one should...
Oh, we need some neck.
Yes, I think we can sort of add that in.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So if I now say...
so that's about a fit, I would think.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so we cut that out. And what I'll now do is I'll actually ask to save that as a cut-out bit.
Yeah.
Because we want to come back and... So looking now for Sydney Harbour. And there we are.
There we are, yeah. Ah, well.
Now we're off, actually, because
We're
I mean,
off, yeah.
If we...
So we... probably need
Oh,
to...
got this strange black stripe, but never mind about that. Isn't that amazing? So we can shrink him down.
Yeah, he needs to come down. It's not going to please the Australians very much, I can tell you. It's going to work.
Already, I think,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
making
yeah.
it look quite exciting. Do you think we should move the whole thing?
No, I don't
that's
think
the way
so.
you saw it in the first place,
No,
isn't it?
I think
Because
just
we
go down a
call it-
bit smaller.
This or that?
No, the
horse.
No, the horse. I think we need to be smaller.
Because what the machine offers you is the possibility of composing. You know, you can say that's about right, that's the right size.
Just a bit smaller still, and we're almost there.
That's extraordinary, isn't it? How we... Oh, all these areas, of course, we can tidy up
Yeah, yeah.
if we want.
But that's basically what you might call a nihilistic statement.
Do we like that position?
I think, yeah. We do, yes, about there.
I think that's super.
It's quite classical.
I love that.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's,
so what I do is I stick him there.
that proves that the Greeks, proves that the Australian civilization is in fact essentially Greek.
Oops.
See, and I suppose one of the things I've done throughout most of my career is to take what are seeming cliches, like say the Sydney Harbour Bridge or Ned Kelly or whatever it might be, to take them and to push them into another dimension so that they cease to be cliches or they become even more cliches. And of course, two of the things in Sydney Harbour which strike everybody are the bridge and the Sydney Opera House. Well, that again is a series of drawings I did on the so-called Brizzoli, the sculptor. We're trying to separate that drawing from the sculptor. We're going to leave him alone. We're trying to turn this thing that he's created into an object as different as possible from himself.
Well, what I think we should do is if we save him...
Yeah, save him and...
So we can come back
and we stonize this other...
So what I'm going to do
creature.
is I'm going to go to chalk and ask for... so to speak, if we go around here...
As soon as you do that red, it takes it further away from the chap, doesn't it?
This is extraordinary, isn't it?
Yes, it happened before with the horse.
So there we are. There's our sort of open area again, which we can in a different way.
We can put another eye onto that, or
Yeah,
mouth, or flip
Oh,
away.
absolutely.
No.
So then if you want something sort of...
Yeah, yeah.
like-
Yeah, it's a real good.
Yeah?
Sure. Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
Sort of thing?
Skull's teeth.
Oh,
Well, you can have a beer, if you like. Okay. So what can we do with Faust?
Well, we could...
Because it's kind of Pygmalion situation. The guy is making a statue which
And
is
it's taking him
which is taking him over. Yeah. Well, we just kind of stone him up, I think.
I think we should.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what's a mosaic? What does that do?
That, if you take an area of tone, it'll turn it into little blocks of colour.
Yeah.
I'll show you. I mean, I've actually saved all that, haven't I? So I mean, if I define, the size of the blocks of colour we're going to use, if I hit mosaic here, you'll find it turns into the most extraordinary sort of mechanical blocks of colour.
Yeah, that's quite nice.
It's actually quite nice. Next to the bloke, that would actually be quite nice.
Next to what he's looking at.
I mean, what we could do now, actually, yes, that's an idea. Why don't we colour map him?
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. God, that gives it sort of strange icon-like. That really has suddenly become Easter Island, isn't it?
Sure. So next to him, that's going to look...
Very strong. Well, I mean, this is using,
that's beginning.
this is using the machine far less in a painterly sort of way and much more in a computery sort of way.
Sure, yeah.
Well, why not?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So if I go... because there's the original picture.
Yeah, sure. But it needs to be, because that's like him a bit.
If you want to go paint...
It needs to be...
You know, we can actually lose the original altogether.
Yes, the decorative aspects of that, yeah.
Extraordinary variations of colour in what we think is a sheet of white paper. So we'll move this.
Because he's still full of pathos, but the other one's become
This is going to
Frankenstein, hasn't it?
This is going to take him over, I think.
Yeah.
It's hard to pick a colour. If I take black, so we can just see where we are. It doesn't...
Yeah, we would probably need a kind of purple or something.
There we are. So that's the...
Well, actually, that's very smart. That's very chic, isn't it?
It's pretty amazing, isn't
Yeah,
it?
well, that's light, you see, in mood. But the black was very... That's stunning, because that's harmonious between him and it.
That's super.
But nonetheless, that is...
It's better than black, because this is softer.
It's better than black, yeah, because it's a union. Yeah, well, that's it.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, there.
At the end of the second session, Nolan decided to try to place some of his own images into a real landscape, a kind of collage of figures and background that represented some lifetime preoccupations.
So there's 15 pictures.
Yeah. So that's about 7 on each side or so.
So we have to select the elements.
Well, I think we probably have to put that one in the center.
Of course, we could actually use that too. I mean, if I wanted to colour that image rather than just keep it black and white.
Well, I think we should colour it.
I think we should.
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe
remember
in
before
bands.
we were doing things with strange sort of mechanical means of colouring pictures. Or one can sort of tint it or...
Perhaps we should actually put in stripes.
Stripes, well, that's incredibly easy. Well, if we ignore the outline we've delineated for the moment, and we'll pick a sort of striped way of doing things.
Yeah, with the bit of red or something. That's all right, yeah. That's fine, yeah. Yeah, I like that, yeah. Well, don't you?
No, I think it's great.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
What are we going to do with it?
Put it in the middle of that landscape in some way,
okay.
so that
First
it
find
leaves
the
enough.
landscape.
Yeah, it leaves enough space on the side for an avenue.
Yeah, but that's more sort of, it's eerie, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think it ought
it's
to
rather
be.
beautiful, really. Yeah.
But in order to get the
We have to come down.
scale,
What's
I
the
think you're
problem?
after
You
there, it's
see,
got to get
we're
quite...
getting too small, and we kind of lose what it is if we go too far. But we have to go about as far as that, don't we?
At least that, I thought.
Probably
Maybe even
a little fraction more.
Image. Now I guess we ought to try and find other bits that you
Some
want
other
to...
things to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
Or perhaps that guy on the camel or something, we can put him
Okay.
up front.
Back to the library then. These are fantastic, these images, aren't they? Here we go.
That fellow there, yeah.
Just add, if I use a smallish brush here. Camels used quite a lot in Australia, aren't
They were imported for the Burke and Rules expedition in 1861 or something.
Are they sort of...
No, they're not
Wild,
indigenous.
or-
No, oh, yes, they're wild now.
They really are.
Oh, yes. Thousands of them.
They have sort of roundups.
Well, they just leave them there. They scream across the desert at night.
So if we just see our two little cutout images now, we have that one and that one.
Yeah,
And this is a
that's
chapter
that
after
one.
now.
Guess
So
what
there
kind
it
of
is. So we
space
want
he
another-
takes up. Well,
We have it the other way
well
around.
about that probably.
Well,
Even if he's out of perspective, I think we might start smaller and build up bigger. You know.
Why not?
In other words, reverse the perspective.
Why not?
So we'll just see what that looks like down in.
Do you like him? Oh, down here, perhaps.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, I think.
You might.
Because you're actually getting a kind of a sort of telescopic view
Sure.
of him down there, aren't
It's
you?
quite nice.
And between him and that view up there, there's at least a change of
Yeah.
lens. So we'll start filling in on the right-hand
Super.
side, and you might even end up underneath the horse's legs or something. See, the small one. You know, might get,
Yeah.
or you might work the other way. You actually might get bigger. It's hard to say. Well,
The whole thing is so
What's the next
eerie
one?
already.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
this is as you...
there's that Kelly one.
The actual
I
painted
think,
Kelly.
yeah, I think we should.
He's magnificent, isn't he?
I think we should get him somewhere
Okay.
right.
So shall we do the cutting out exercise
yeah.
again? I seem to have missed out a couple of rivets on his shoulders. Right, here we go. Now we can have him as big as we like.
He wasn't bad there for the moment, certainly.
So here he
Well,
comes.
he's really got to come down,
Yep.
doesn't he? Just how far? It's hard for me to tell. Well, how about if he goes over to the left a bit and...
Yeah, because we can move him so simply.
It's a problem, isn't it?
Not
Needs,
easy.
it needs to be smaller, probably, I think. Otherwise, there's no room. Just a bit smaller still.
Lose things. That's extraordinary, isn't it? How you... Oh, all these areas, of course, we can type.
So, I think we'll leave that there, and then we'll...
Okay.
Yeah?
Right, so here we go.
I wonder what that Robert Hughes thing is worth.
Yep.
You know, the head on the skeleton, whether it'll come up to any... Put that over on the right somewhere.
There they are.
Yeah, there it is. Because I think the reality of that face, amongst the other painted and photographic images, It just needs some colour into it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it, yeah.
Whatever colour you want.
And then some red or whatever. Yeah, that's it, yeah.
I mean, that echoes what
Yeah, yeah, sure,
Central
yeah,
did,
yeah.
for example.
And a bit of black or black at the top. Yeah, fine. And if we can build that skull up manually a bit.
Is it perhaps just a little drawn image?
Yeah, sure.
That red
I see,
squiggle.
yeah, sure, yeah.
So is it that's all?
That's it, yeah.
Well, what we now have is that, which may or may not work.
Well, we'll
That's
see.
the lovely thing.
Disgrace.
Well, there's the image. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's a matter of if we're interested in position right now rather than sort of colour.
Okay. I think if we can have that skull and the figure with the kind of cloak and the
Do
head.
you not like this sort of? It actually rather messes up the horse, perhaps.
I think if we can just have it on top of the horse without going through the rider, it's better.
Right. Okay. Well, so it's now behind the horse there.
Mm.
Is that better?
Mm. As long as it's a bit stronger.
If we were to use whatever colour.
Black. Dark brown to black.
If
Oh, yeah, sure. That's it.
I mean, again, we could do it under here if you wanted.
Well, I don't think we
Not too fussed about it.
probably need it down there.
I think that begins to get it in there.
Yeah. Well, that all depends on what happens down on the rest of it now. We perhaps need this tree thing with the horse. Yeah. We've got two tree things, have we? Only one.
This one.
Well, maybe that needs to be somewhere up near the top right.
Okay.
Towards the...
Try.
depends on what size, towards the end of the horse. I think we just... We'll see what happens, then we'll improvise. So it has to come down, doesn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
Actually, I quite like that stumpy tree without too much fur.
Yeah, I think that's all right. I think that... just a bit more. Well, about there.
And again, you can decide, obviously, which goes in front and which goes behind.
Well, probably got to go... it's very difficult now, isn't it? Can't go too high, can it?
No.
Because that won't work.
We can always have it the other way around, of course, if you prefer.
What if we're facing that way? Well, he's better that way, I think, isn't he? I don't know. Needs to be a little bit smaller, doesn't it? Fraction. No, I think keep him separate and at the back and a bit smaller, actually.
And again, colour, one can play with, obviously.
And it'd be nice to have a little bit of kind of orange or leather or something like that in it, wouldn't it?
Oh, well, we can try.
A little bit.
Food.
Just to unite these other colours. It doesn't need much.
Yeah, so we could put any colour.
That's nice.
That's right.
That's actually very good. Yeah, sure. That's fine.
Just like that?
Yeah, just like that. It's fine. Now, we've got the problem of putting a thing in between the Kelly and the horse, and between the Burke and the horse.
Right.
At least one object, or possibly two objects, and two might be too difficult. What is there's that Kelly thing, isn't there?
There's the real Kelly.
Yeah, the real Kelly. It's a hard thing, that perspective thing.
It's like a rod for your own back.
So well, this is rather important, really.
I'm shrinking down. It's another very strong vertical, isn't it?
Yeah, it's what we need, you know. A bit more. We have to clear him of the other profile, I think. It's going to work. Do a bit more, and more, and more. A little bit more. And that's about it. Well, we perhaps need something fairly strong on him to bring him up to the horse a bit. Some bluey, steely
yes, well, I've
greys
saved
sort
him
of
there now
stuff,
so you can experiment.
Yeah.
So if you wanted some sort of blue like that. Or
That's going all right, yeah. There's a bit of blue in there.
maybe that's...
That's it, yeah. That's good. Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, in fact, that's fine. Yeah. Well, that's okay.
Yes?
Yeah. So we really only need a unifying thing between there, you know, between the Kelly painting and the other. But we need something fairly fairly powerful and fairly unusual. Perhaps just a big skull.
Got it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So just this bit?
Yeah. And there's his feedback. And depending how that,
There we go.
like that,
Yep.
fractions of right maybe.
Fractions right.
Maybe a fraction down to the right again. Don't know. No, you're probably right. It's a bit up to the left, yeah. That's about it.
Yeah?
Yeah.